Hello, my name's Simon Bingham and this is part of my JNCIE Enterprise video series. What I'm covering at the moment is I've done a number of little videos on the BGP path selection, taking the Juniper website here and working through these BGP path selection criteria as listed by Juniper. So I'm now on number 6. For BGP, prefer the path with the lowest multiple exit discrimination, MED value. So this is one you really need to know about. This basically what this is, it's a val value, it's a non-transitive value, so it doesn't go across the internet, but does go between adjacent autonomous systems, and it in effect allows you, it's sort of, let me try and explain it. If you give a lower MED to a value of a prefix you're transmitting here, that you're forwarding, it affects the path in the other direction. So say you set, say for example, we have this loop back here which we're advertising to R13 and R12. We can say in that advertisement, one of these routers can say prefer coming back to me or prefer me. So in effect then that is learnt by these guys. So he's basically saying come take my path through this by using the lower MED. So what I'm going to do, there's quite a big topic, so I might break it into a couple of videos actually. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to try and change the MED value on this to basically choose one path over the other. So without further ado, let me go ahead. So if we look at 13, let's do so I'm looking at this link between 13 and 14 here. Let me do show BGP. Let's do show. Let's actually just show the route first of all. So show route 100.0.0.26. So you can see here there's two paths available to this, right? So one is going here to this link here, 1. And the other is actually going to its neighbour 10 here. Now why is it preferred one over the other? Well actually, I mean I can tell you, we can have a look, but the reason it's preferred is because it's learnt one of them via eBGP and the other via eBGP via iBGP. So what it's saying is I've learnt this route from two directions. One is from my iBGP neighbour and one is from my eBGP neighbour, and though all other things are the same, I'm going to prefer it from my eBGP neighbour because that's just one of the criteria. Let's just show you here. So if we cross go on here, we can see here it says not best in group, exterior via interior. So that's really what it's saying. It's saying I'm learning it via one of my interior neighbours. So let's look at what we're receiving in terms of the MED. So let's do show route, receive protocol, BGP neighbour. So let's look at what I'm receiving from my BGP neighbour. So let's just scroll this up a little bit. Let's get a bit more room on here. So route, receive protocol, BGP 10.0.1.1, and let's just look at that route, shall we? So I'm receiving that value with no MED associated with it. Okay. So the first thing we need to do is to transmit a MED. So I think the fact we've got no MED, I believe, counts as 0. So this might be a problem for us in a minute. So, but let's just go ahead. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to configure R24, and I'm going to configure it to say any. I think I'm going to say any routes I receive starting with AS10, then basically prefer my route. So let's give that a go. Oh, let's go to 24. So first let's see if we have any export policies set up. I think we do, but configure, edit, protocol, BGP, show. So I have a group AS40. Do we have a 40? Yeah, we have a 3040 policy already set up. So let me do top edit protocols. Oh, sorry. Edit policy statement AS30 to 40. Show. Right. Let's have a look. So let's do set term 3 from. Now let's see if I can get this right. Let me just refer to something for a minute, because I think that's I want to get the syntax correct. I think this is going to be it. So the path needs to start with 10. I think that's it. Dot. Yeah, that's it. So that means it's got to be 10 something and then any number of characters after it, I think. Let's just see if this works. Show. Set. Term 3. Then med Okay, so I just paused the video while I did some, to be honest with you, some regular expression work, which I'm not that familiar with, but at absolute my amazement it worked. So let me just show you what I quickly did. So I wrote a policy on here saying, let me just show you what I wrote. So I decided to, just as part of practice really, to start matching things on some what's called regular expressions. So I wrote an expression here which said if AS path, well, this is a definition, right? So what we're saying is this definition called from AS path 10, and that's actually the regular expression. That's all it is 10, which actually means starts with 10. So any routes that start in this autonomous system will match it, right? And then I said, right, edit policy statement AS to AS40. I wrote a statement at the bottom here, said from AS path, that's definition. So basically what I'm saying, if it starts with 10, then change the local preference metric to 30, and that's what we did. So that was using a route filter to basically set the BGP media exit discriminator. So that's done, that's been committed. So when I jump onto 13 and we do show this route, what we can see is now our preferred route is via 31.10, which is this one here. So by upping the BGP MED, because we've got a default one, I believe here, of 0 coming across, I think it counts as 0 if you haven't defined it. So by upping it here, we've been successful in actually, without configuring these routers, we've changed the path they use back to us. So by doing this, by putting this BGP MED of 30 across here, I've influenced that value, which is quite interesting actually. So I think that's it. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to look at other ways. Now there's some other ways of influencing the BGP MED. So let's do the opposite, and now it's preferring this route. Let's do the complete reverse and make an even higher value on here to make it less preferred, but we'll use a different way of doing it. Okay, so I've probably done the most complicated method first, really, using a regular expression and using a route filter. But let's jump on to R25 and look at another way we can do it. So I think the crudest way we can do it is to do, let's do edit BGP, edit protocols BGP set, and I believe you can just do this, right, and this should set all the routes coming out here to use the metric that I now define, which is pretty darn crude actually. Hey, if it gets the job done in certain circumstances. So let's see if this flips around again. Okay, so we seem to have a look what's happened here. Show route 100.0.0.0.26. I'm right. Okay, brilliant. So here, particularly on R12, we can see it was receiving it from two different directions. We can see that we're getting a BGP MED from of 50 from R25, and we're getting a BGP MED of 30 down from R13, and so R13, having the lowest MED value, is the preferred. Okay, so there is one more way that we can configure the MED value I would like to show you, and I believe you can do it on the neighbour statement. So I think so another approach we can use is to configure the MED statements on the actual neighbour statements. Now, I don't know, personally this wouldn't be a preferred method of mine. I'd prefer to have a single export policy for an autonomous system and then define everything in there, just because it just seems like a better form of administration, you know, everything in one place. But we don't know what's going to come up on the exam, so let's make sure we can do it this way. So let's do top edit policy, edit protocols BGP show. We do set group AS underscore 40 Right, we've got one neighbour set in here. Now let's keep upping the metric value so we can see them change. Now I think there's the precedence here, and if I remember correctly, it's exactly what you'd expect in that MED values defined on a policy take priority over MED values defined on a neighbour, which take priority over values. You know, there's like the usual hierarchy that you see, in that it's more specific, obviously. So if I set it here, this value should win over any policy that I've set up. So let's just do it. Let's go. Let's do. In fact, let's do it on the other one because we've got a policy set up here. So let's do it on R25. So let's do edit group. Now let's set it to a lower value, because before we set it to 50, didn't we, globally here? So if we do up one, so I believe we set the MED to 50, right? And it was 30, so it's 50 here and 30 here, so the whole system here is going to prefer this route. So let's do something different. Let's set it to a lower value to flick it back, and we'll do a lower value just on the neighbour statement though. So let's do edit group AS underscore 40, then set, so show edit neighbour 18, yes it is, set metric out, let's do a lower value, let's go back down to 20, commit. Now let's see now where this will want to send this route, so let's do this. And now we are, I was going to say we're not getting the value I was expecting, I was looking at the default route. So we are, so we're back there. So we have a value of 20, MED of 20, sending the traffic this direction again. Yep, we jump to 17. Okay, now one thing that's worth pointing out here, let me just jump onto route 10, is if we do run show route 100.0.0.0.26, we will see that the MED value is actually passed through this autonomous system. So it isn't just from peer to peer; it goes within an AS. So that's quite good. Because think about this: what we're trying to really achieve here is, say this path was preferred. What we really want to do is to try and herd the traffic in this direction. So by saying, for example, by having a policy say that matches whatever traffic you're interested in, you can in effect attract all the traffic towards that link, providing they support this value and the AS path and some of all the other things above it match. And the one final thing I wanted to do was to say, let's just look on our, so now we're preferring that value. Let's go back to R24 and let's use a third way, or was it a fourth by now, of setting the BGP MED. So we had an export policy here. So what I'm actually going to do this time is I'm going to do edit enable and what we can do is do a little policy so we should do edit at the beginning there, just makes life easier. So this time let's just match it on a route. So we'll do set from route filter I think that's it. So let's see if this works. Run show route transmit protocol, advertising protocol, sorry it's getting late again, BGP to my neighbour 10.1.0.1 not advertising to it. Oh, I used the wrong address. Whoa, it's working. Wow. Okay. So to summarise what we've done here, and let's just have a look at R10 and see what R10 now has as the best metric. Yeah, and it's now going via 13, so it's now going this way. So what have we done here to summarise? Right. We've shown how you can set the MED value on a neighbouring autonomous system, and you can use a number of criteria. So you can either set it globally, saying everything I send out has this MED value on it. That's pretty crude. You can use a policy statement matching on anything. You can watch policy statements on to just about anything. You can set it on the neighbour. So you can just say my neighbour, everything I send to this neighbour has this MED value, which again is a pretty crude form, and you could even reference an export policy on the neighbour. just as you can with other export policies, and have that do the business. And you also saw the hierarchical nature then, because you could see that the neighbour one took precedence over the more general routing policy that I had working here, and that the values go further on into this system here. Okay, I'm going to do a second video here. We're going to look at some of the configuration options that you have, but I think that's enough for one video, and I hope this was useful to you, and thank you.